Hi. Sorry, I'm getting everything set up. I'm about to make some lasagna dinner here with you guys. Let me grab all my stuff. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to be doing a vegetarian lasagna tonight. I'm going to try to do it while live. Let's see if I can handle it. So we got some salted water boiling. We're going to boil the noodles first, and then I'm just going to make an easy vegetarian lasagna. Spinach, cheese, noodles. Pretty simple. No meat. Let me grab everything. Okay. So while the noodles are boiling, we're just going to start our sauce here. I just use Trader Joe's basic tomato sauce. Pretty easy. We're going to start off with some olive oil. I already chopped up my onions, my garlic. Make sure I got this rinsed out. Always rinse your pans before you start. Alright. So you're just going to start with some olive oil. I already chopped up my veggies, so I have onions, I have some garlic, and some zucchini. That's pretty much all we're going to use. And then when we're topping off our lasagna, we'll use some spinach and ricotta. But no meat for this one. Hi, Romeo, is it? Romeo, Paulo. Hello, everybody. Alright. What's everybody else having for dinner? Okay, your oil gets hot, you're going to add in your onions first. We're just going to cook those down a bit. Oh my goodness, I don't like onion peel. There we go. Just cook that on a low heat until it gets fragrant. Check on this boiling water here. We're almost there. Try to keep your onions moving too, because we don't want burnt onions. Okay, those look good. I'm going to add in my garlic and zucchini. You can add so many veggies to this if you like. You can add, sometimes I added carrots, but my son hates carrots, so I stopped doing that. But you can add more zucchini, you can add bell pepper, pretty much whatever veggies you want to add. So I'm just doing zucchini and spinach to make it simple. Also mushrooms. Mushrooms are really good in this as well, but I didn't have any, so we're doing it as cheap as possible. So while that's cooking, I'm going to grab my spices over here. See if I can take you guys with me. Got a spice drawer. Not the prettiest, but I will share it with you. So we're going to use some onion powder, some garlic powder, and parsley too. Let's see. And of course some oregano. If you have fresh basil, I would definitely use that, but I don't, so I'm going to use this one. And then I have my sea salt. This is a super easy recipe, especially because there's no meat, so you can taste as you go without worrying about, you know, cross-contaminating or eating raw meat and getting sick. So you can taste how much seasoning you need throughout your sauce, and it's just better for me. And I'm gonna get my sauce ready here. I'm doing a live cooking. I'm making vegetarian lasagna for Mike asking. So this is the sauce we're using from Trader Joe's. This is like $1.99. It's super cheap. Alright, I'm gonna add in my sauce. We're going to use the whole jar. And I don't like my sauce chunky and I don't want to waste, so I'm going to go ahead and fill this whole jar with water and then mix it up, and I'm going to add that in there too. So once you fill your jar with water, just give it a good mix, and then you can add that in. If you like yours chunkier, you don't want to add a whole jar of water then, but if you don't mind thinner sauce like me, then definitely don't skip this. I'm just going to mix that in. Water's still not boiling. So we're going to put the sauce on high to get it to a boil. And then while I wait for that, I'm just going to add my seasoning. So I have some garlic powder here. You don't need to measure if there's no meat because you can go by taste. So I'm just kind of guessing at first. Put some onion powder. Which I'm almost out of, so that's probably about it. Some oregano. I wish I had fresh basil, but since I don't, we're just going to use the dry basil. And then I'm going to add some seasoned salt. You're going to need salt because, like I said, no meat means no fat. You're going to need all the flavor you could get. So you can give that a little taste test, or you can wait until you simmer it down a little bit. I like to just taste as I go. It's pretty good, but definitely needs more. So I'm going to add some more garlic powder. A little bit more basil too. some more salt. Let's see. Much better. So we're going to try to get that to boil again so we can put it down to a simmer and just let it cook till all the flavors cook in there. Let's see if our water's boiling yet here. It's taking so long. So once it's boiling, just put it down to a little simmer so you could simmer your sauce for maybe like 15-20 minutes. And then while that's simmering and I'm waiting for my water to boil, I'm going to get my spinach ready. I'm just going to wash a whole bag of spinach. I'm going to put it in a strainer. Maybe half a bag at a time here. Hi, Ray Ray. So here's our spinach. I'm going to set that aside and wait. Okay, it looks like it's about ready to go into a boil, so we're going to add in our lasagna noodles. I'm going to do a whole box of the lasagna noodles, and these just cook for about 10 minutes. Don't cook it all the way through because you're still going to bake the lasagna and then it's going to get so soggy. So I just do a little under what's recommended, so maybe about 8 or 9 minutes. And then while you're getting all your other stuff ready, like your noodles, just keep stirring your sauce every now and then because it's gonna, you don't want it to burn around the edges. See if we can fit it in there. Okay. I don't know about burnt sauce, but maybe when you're cooking your lasagna. You could taste as you go also, since there's no meat in there, feel free to taste it. You're not going to have to worry about cross-contaminating or anything like that. And then just add seasoning if you need to, otherwise just let it keep simmering. Okay, I got half my spinach done. I'm going to go finish the rest of my spinach. Okay, let's see. We got our noodles going, our sauce going, and then over here you're just gonna get the rest of your stuff ready. So I have my spinach here ready, and then you're gonna need some ricotta cheese. You could use cottage cheese as well if you don't have this. It comes out pretty good with cottage cheese, but I prefer the ricotta. And then I'm using a big bag of mozzarella. You can also switch off with like the Italian cheese blend or some Parmesan. But I have, and shredded Parmesan is always better, but I only have this one, so we're going to just use the grated. And then of course, to assemble your lasagna, you're going to need a big baking dish. So I got this baking dish ready here. Depending on how much you want to make, this is going to make a lot. So if you want to do what I'm doing, just know you're going to have a lot of leftovers. Thank you. Got a little spinach in there. Yep, I do my nails by myself. Much cheaper that way. I'm just going to cover up my sauce for a little bit. Just keep it on super low until our noodles are done, and that should be probably long enough. So we got a few more minutes on the noodles, and then we'll assemble the lasagna together and go from there. Okay. I got everything ready here. Make sure you keep checking on your noodles because you don't want them too soft, like I said. So just make sure that they're still cooking. And then when we drain these, Make sure you have some olive oil or some maybe avocado oil just so they don't stick together. I try to keep them oiled while I set up my lasagna, and then it keeps them from all sticking and you have to peel them all apart. Almost there. Let me rearrange here. Not sure what's happening. Okay. Okay, I think that should be good on your sauce. I would turn your sauce off for now, taste it. If you need to add seasoning, add it, but otherwise, just set that aside and then just make sure you keep checking on your noodles, and once those are drained, then we'll set up our lasagna. In the meantime, you can also preheat your oven. We're going to cook this about, let's see, I usually do 425, and I cover it first with foil. So make sure you got some foil handy as well. Here's my sauce. Okay, my noodles are soft. I'm going to go drain my noodles and then I will show you what we do from there. Alright, for our noodles, I just drain them in a strainer in the sink. Then I let them sit there and I add a little olive oil and mix them up so they don't stick together, because it's so hard to make lasagna with noodles that are stuck. And I'm just using my sauce spatula to mix them around. And that's all I do. And then now we're going to go on, assemble our lasagna and bake it in the oven. I dropped something, but I don't remember what it was. It's okay. Alright, let me get my setup here. Excuse the mess. There we go. Okay, see. Okay, all we're gonna do is take a little layer of sauce. For the first bottom layer, I try to just get sauce, not as much veggies, because this is just kind of to coat the pan. And I also reserve a little sauce because I do have one kid that hates cheese, so I make him his own little pasta with the same noodles, same sauce, but no cheese. So you feel free to use all your sauce on your lasagna, but if you want to reserve some for something else like me, then just try to make sure you have some left over. So you're just going to coat the bottom so it doesn't stick. I use measuring cups pretty much for everything, scooping wise. Okay, and now be careful because your noodles are super hot, but all you're going to do is layer the noodles on top of this. So I'm going to put one layer of noodles on the bottom. If you're making a smaller lasagna, use a smaller baking dish. If you want a big lasagna like this, then it usually takes, I usually do about 4 noodles and then one on the side here, 1/2 on the side. So here you go. About 4. It is super hot, so be careful. Or let yours cool first, but I don't have time, so just be careful. Then I just break one in half and then I layer it right here. On top of your noodles is going to be the ricotta cheese. And all I do is scoop this and toss it on top. I don't do anything fancy. So I let it sit out a little bit so it's easier to handle, because usually it's super hard to spread. But you could even just put little scoops and then when it bakes it spreads out. But if yours has been sitting out, then just feel free to spread it across. I definitely should have got the bigger jar, but I didn't, so I'm trying to reserve some. If you like a lot of ricotta, put more than this, because I usually put more than this. Okay. And then on top of your ricotta is going to be your spinach. Instead of sitting here chopping it, I just kind of tear it in half like this to make smaller pieces. Hi, Stacy. Good to see you. I've never done a live on here, but it's good to see your name. We're just making a vegetarian lasagna, doing like a live tryout here. So you got your spinach, then you're going to top that with your mozzarella cheese. And you're welcome to use more or less, depending on how cheesy you want your lasagna. Okay. And then on top of that is going to go your Parmesan. If you have shredded Parmesan, you just throw that on there. I have to open this one up. And I'm just going to sprinkle that on top. And then on top of that is just gonna go your sauce. This time I'm gonna use chunky sauce, so make sure you got some veggies in there. And then just pour it over the top. And like I said, I'm trying to reserve a little so I can make my son's cheeseless pasta. But if you're not trying to reserve any, you could just put way more on there if you like yours real wet and saucy. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. When you bake it, everything's going to melt together anyways. So don't worry if you didn't fill every single spot. It's gonna work, I promise. And then on top of that, we're going to do another layer of noodles. So like I said, I do about 4 noodles across. And then I'm just going to cut one in half for this part. And I did it too short. There we go. Then we're going to do our ricotta cheese again. This time I'm going to put more since I know I have enough. I was kind of worried I wasn't going to have enough for the next layer, but it looks like I'm going to be okay. What are you guys having for dinner tonight? I'd love to know. Okay. We're just going to use the rest of the ricotta on this layer. Okie dokie. That looks good. Okay. Then next is our spinach. I'm making a big mess. Oh my goodness. I think I washed a little too much spinach. I know it's going to cook down, but I want to make sure I have space. Let me clean up some of my mess here. Okay, I don't think I fit any more spinach on there, so I'm going to go ahead and put my cheese on top of that. And this is just shredded mozzarella cheese. I've also used the Italian cheese blend. That one's really good on here. Pretty much use whatever cheese you have at home. I just like how the white cheese comes out. Okay, then we're going to go with our Parmesan sprinkle. Clean my hands a little. I think I got more on the floor than on my tray. Okay. And then the sauce. Make sure before you do this part, you've tasted your sauce and seasoned it however it needs to be seasoned, because after this, you can't go back. A little bit more. That looks good. Should get your corners. And then we're going back with the noodles. And this will be our last layer of noodles. So we got one here. It's already almost to the top. Two. 3. 4. I got sauce on my package. Wonderful. Okay. And then last one where I break it in half. There we go. Okay, so now you're almost done here, and all you're going to do is top this with some more sauce. This is about how much sauce I have left. I don't know if you could see. So, I'm still reserving some for my son's pasta. But you're welcome to just pour the rest on top of there and have a nice saucy lasagna. And I just try to cover all the noodles so they don't burn on top. Okay, that looks good. And then the last thing you do is just top with some more shredded cheese. If you do have fresh basil, that's really good on top when you take your lasagna out of the oven, but I don't have any. I'm just going to sprinkle some parsley over the top. Sorry about that. Okay. And on there I'm going to sprinkle a little Parmesan. Trying to find my parsley to put on top, but I don't know where I put it. There it is. So we got a little dried parsley just to make it nice and cute. I don't know if it really does anything for flavor, but it looks pretty. And that's it. And then you're just going to cover this up with foil and bake it for probably about 45 minutes. And then just check it as you go. The last 5 to 10 minutes, I like to take the foil off and get the top a little crispy. Let me grab my foil. So when you're covering this, you don't want the cheese to touch the top, because if you do, it's just going to remove all your cheese when you take it off. So I kind of try to tap the top and get it rounded, so it's not touching the cheese as much. It's kind of hard to avoid, but it does help a lot. Even right here, you could just... This is the cheap foil, so it's Very thin. It's not the best, but it works. Okay, and then we're ready to bake it. My oven's been preheating at 425, so I'm going to try to bring my mount over here if I can. Okay, there we go. And not burn my cords, hopefully. Put that in there. And that's it. And then if you guys want to see what I do with this leftover sauce here, because I don't waste and I don't want to make a bunch of different meals, but this one's pretty simple for my one child that does not like cheese. So I'm going to heat this up again, the sauce right here. I'm just adding a little water to the same cup I've been using because it has some sauce in it, just to try to make a little more sauce out of it. Let's see where we go here. Make sure to scrape the sides to get it all in there. And then I'm just going to bring this to a little boil. And then in the meantime, with my leftover lasagna noodles that I have in the sink, straining, I'm going to just tear these into little pieces so that they're just like little pasta noodles, but lasagna style. And then I'm going to add it to the sauce and mix it up, and it's just basically like a lasagna cheeseless pasta. So let me get my noodles going here. You could cut them or tear them. I just tear them. It's a lot easier. This is why I make the whole box of lasagna noodles. So if you're not going to use the whole box, then just save some of it. But for me, I use it for this. It's starting to boil. I'm putting okay. Turn that back down, and then I'm just going to add in my noodles. And I'm going to let it cook in the sauce for a little, because if you remember, when I boil my noodles, I don't boil them until they're completely cooked. I just leave them a little al dente because we're going to throw them in the oven on lasagna. So for this one, if I want them a little softer, then I just cook them in the sauce, and plus it gives a better flavor. I got one noodle left, but this might be enough. Let me see. Because I don't want it to dry up. I'll just use all of it. I got half a noodle left here. And that's about it. And I'm just going to let that cook down maybe 5 minutes until the noodles feel a little softer, and set it aside while I wait for my lasagna. And then my lasagna should take about 40 to 45 minutes in the oven. For the last 5 to 10 minutes, just take your foil off, and you could put it on broil just to get the cheese a little crispy on top if you like that. If you don't like the crispy, then just take it out, and then it's ready to eat. And I'll probably make some garlic bread with that after. I'm not going to make you guys sit here and wait 45 minutes, but that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for joining me.